Welcome everybody to the Music City Surrey Showcase, where we highlight the absolute best musical talent that the City of Surrey has to offer. Thank you so much to the City of Surrey and Creative BC for sponsoring this amazing showcase. And in the Fusion Presents studio with me today is the awesome Ben Dunnill. Welcome back.
Hey buddy, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
It's always great to see you, and it's awesome to have you back.
Likewise, man. Thank you so much for having me back.
You're welcome. This is the second appearance. We had you at the first reiteration, or the first iteration of the Music City Surrey Showcase, and what we wanted to do was bring back artists that we had last year and ask them what has happened since, and so much stuff has happened in your life since last year. And let's start there.
Sure.
Because, I mean, you and I have worked together multiple times. Mm-hmm. And, you know, one of the things that we've wanted to do, or what we tell all of our artists to work on, is to build their social media presence.
Yeah.
And you took that and just flew. So please give us the story of what has happened with you online recently.
Well, I started making TikToks probably, I'd say, a year ago. And just like doing cover songs, trying things out, and nothing was really sticking. And I went on a trip to Europe, and I always like to tell this story. I went on a trip to Europe thinking that it was gonna hinder my career, you know? I've always been the kind of person that feels like they need to practice in their room 10 hours a day, never leave. But I took a chance, and I went on this 3-month journey. And one thing I realized about Europe pretty quickly that's a lot different than here is that there's pianos everywhere. There's like public pianos in train stations and airports. And so, you know, naturally I would gravitate towards them and start playing music for people. And there was one instance, it was like 7 a.m. in France. I was waiting for a train, and I just filmed this version of Fairlies, like a jazzy version of Fairlies. It was like 2 minutes long, which is, you know, unheard of for a TikTok. And I put it up not really thinking much about it. And by the time I'd gotten off the train and I checked my TikTok, it had something like 500,000 or 600,000 views.
What? Just a basic version of Fairlies?
It was like a jazzy version, like taking the melody and then...
Give me. How did you get into it? I mean, I've seen it, obviously.
Yeah.
But, so this is the first time you did it?
This is the first time I did it.
Where did the idea come to you from?
I'm a big fan of Liberace, and he used to do kind of like saloony ragtime versions of popular songs.
Okay.
And I would introduce that kind of thing in shows before, but I never did it with Fairlies. You know, I would do it with like When the Saints Go Marching In or something. So I started with the initial melody. Fast forward through this. And then I'd do this little... throw in a jazz chord. And then I would just take that melody and ragtime it up. And kind of like play around
That's
with
awesome.
it. Thanks, man.
So when you were filming it, was it just coming out of you naturally?
It was completely natural, and
wow.
Even looking back at it now, I probably would have tried out different things and new ideas. But so that video did really well.
Wow.
And that kind of amplified my TikTok a little bit, and I realized that like every day I'm going to places where there's public piano, so I might as well keep it going.
For sure.
So
what other stuff did you do?
So the first video that really took off for me was a Pixar music compilation.
Okay.
Again, sitting in a train station, this time in Italy. And
like Toy Story and
Monsters Inc. So Monsters Inc. has this incredible intro. And
That's great.
as soon as I played that, you know, people who were watching me play in person, their heads turned and all that. And I feel like that's really good when it comes to making videos, is having people's reactions in there.
Okay.
So that video did well. And then I'll tell the story of one more. This is probably the best, most viewed video I have right now. I was in Vienna, and I went into a piano store and was just looking around, and I think that they had like a private concert going on in like 10 minutes, so I couldn't stay. And just for fun, this was completely spontaneous.
Okay.
As I was leaving, my friend was there and she had her phone out, and I was like, let's try something. And as we're walking out of the store, I just start playing on each of the pianos when the Saints go marching in. So the first piano would be, and then I walk to the next one, and then the next, and and that was really it. And I'm just jumping around,
Just off the cuff,
just jumping around different pianos, and that, you know, not only did the video do well, but it sparked an idea. What can I do that's ridiculous with pianos?
Yeah.
And from there, I started looking to people like Victor Borge,
Awesome.
who was a
Comedian
piano player, and he had all these amazing ideas. And I kind of decided to make jumping around pianos to be my shtick for a while, you know? So even now, there's just yesterday, I put up a video of the Nutcracker jumping around pianos.
Okay.
And I don't know, I'm lucky, but I think it got 2 million views in like 2 days or something.
This was a couple of days ago that you just did this?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I actually found out this morning too that it's going to be played on like the news in Chicago. So all this stuff. So
Wow.
yeah, coming back to what I said earlier about me, you know, being a bit apprehensive about traveling. I find that, you know, some of the most beautiful things in life happen when you don't expect it. I went on this trip thinking, oh, well, here's 3 months down the drain.
Yeah.
And I came back and everything has sort of changed for
Awesome.
me. And so that's just a word, you know, be it if you're traveling or you're doing something and you have preconceived notions about it, you know, take the leap, because sometimes the greatest things happen when you least expect it. You know?
Absolutely. That's amazing. Well, I mean, that's obviously that's a great piece of advice for other artists. Like, just go for it and do something. So I think one question, if you were to like analyze the success that you've had and break down that success into, I mean, if I was looking at it, this is what I would say. I was like, there are two different elements there. One is the amazing creativity that's coming out of it. Like, it's something that's completely original and new. And the other one is your actual ability to play, and you know your instrument so well. So in your case, are you thinking on the fly? Or is it just, it's coming out of you just naturally, but because you've practiced and you know your instrument so well, it can come out of you that naturally so quickly?
Yeah, for the most part, a lot of the videos have been spontaneous. I think there were moments where, like when I was riding a train or something, and I would keep like a list of songs in my notes, like I could do this, and I would actually plan it in my head sometimes too. Like, how can I, how does this make sense? Like, how can I make this work? And so by the time I'd get to like the store or something, I would already know what I was going for.
Okay.
And there's always going to be an element of surprise, spontaneity, especially playing jazz, because it's, you know, music based on improvising. So, and this isn't for all the videos, but sometimes I would have an idea of what I was going to do, and then I would let the
moment and the creativity
moment
just take
and the
it.
creative just
All right, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to throw you in the deep end. Aladdin, Friend Like Me.
Sure.
Do something off the cuff, out of nothing.
Okay, well, I feel like that song is mostly, has a sort of jazzy flair to it. So to make it different, I'll start more of a classical flair and see what happens.
Let's see. Awesome. So, have you ever done that with singing as well? Because I know on piano, I mean, I've witnessed a concert, a home concert recently, where you took a song, you took Unchained Melody, and you just went into a whole nother universe. Have you done that sort of thing on social media yet, or has it just been piano-centric?
I've definitely done some singing things. Like one of my, something I did recently is like, you know how on phones you have like auto suggestion? Mm-hmm. Like there's like if you're sending a text message, there's like, it'll give you suggested words.
Okay.
So I've had people do that, and then I write a song based on whatever.
Okay.
So I think it's something like, the time is what you say, I've got it. Like just ridiculous gibberish. Aside from that, yeah, I do put up like what if this song was a jazz song, or like
Right.
something like that, you
Right,
know?
right,
So you
right,
could
right,
throw like a pop song or something, and I could like imagine it as a jazz song. I don't do as
Right.
much of that, but
Like, for example, what if Bruno Mars' Treasure as whatever other than what it is?
sure. So that's like a disco thing. So that might be fun as like a ragtime jazz sort of idea. That's gonna be a bit higher. Treasure, that is what you are. Baby, you're my shining star. And you make my dreams come true, come true, come true. Let me treasure you. Ba 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 da ba. Oh, let me treasure you.
Oh, fun.
So just have fun with things like that.
So
you
how
know?
I'm always baffled by how quickly you can come up with things. So like your mind is a few steps ahead of what you're playing at all times.
Yeah, I mean,
That's wild for you to be able to improvise like that. Like even comedians and improv comedians to be able to just hit with the next line or the next word so quickly. I know, like prior to this interview, Keely was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna throw a word at you and come up with a song."
Yeah.
So let's do it right now.
Sure.
Coffee.
Coffee. Ooh, I like coffee.
So yeah. So just
give me a key and give me a style.
Okay, so E flat, coffee, and cinematic.
Ooh, cinematic. I like you like I like my coffee in the morning. The first thing that I think of when I wake up. And if I had a bad day, maybe I'll take another cup. Some people think it's bad for me. I'm addicted, what can I say? But baby, you and coffee are two things that I just can't throw away. Yeah. There we go. If it can be in a commercial.
That's awesome, man. Okay, well, years and years and hours, hundreds of thousands of hours of what I know of you, like you wake up in the morning and this is your job and you're working at your craft, whether it was piano or singing or your voice or production or saxophone. I know you've picked up the saxophone or guitar or bass or whatever. Where did that conviction come from?
I definitely think that growing up, my parents were very supportive. They were supportive, and they were also, always kind of on my case as to what I'm doing to get better, not being satisfied. And I think it instilled in me just this idea of, one, how far can things go? And also, like, I would look at artists like, I'm a big fan of Ray Charles or something. And as I get older and I get better at my craft, the more I realize how good these folks were. And it's like each year I get better and then they get better too.
Wow.
So I think that there's in any musician, there's a need for improvement. And for me, I think it's just, knowing where I am and knowing where I want to be and making that the priority. I mean, that being said, I do love working and I do love exploring music and looking at, just like different avenues of it and like where I can take it, and maybe somebody else does something new and I think, well, that's pretty cool. I haven't thought of that, so I'm gonna try that. I guess music's just this big world of new information constantly, and I'm just trying to travel and explore each different area of it, as much as I can. And it it's also, even in doing things like these improvising things, or if I'm doing TikToks, like what area of music, what could I add to that? It's like if I hear a Liszt song or a Chopin song and there's some cool voicing or like a cool run, it's like, okay, how can I add that into what I'm already doing? It's like my entire goal with music has always been, how can I cram as many of these styles and things that I love into one, as you would say, like a one package or like one thing, so that's kind of I guess the driving force for me is that I'm always searching for something I wouldn't have thought of or something else I can add, right?
So you're learning constantly and you're analyzing other musicians and their art form constantly. Do you enjoy music then? Because I know, for example, I went to see Jesus Christ Superstar at the Queen Elizabeth yesterday.
Amazing, yeah.
And, no hate on anybody, but I noticed, like, when they started, that they turned the main vocal down, and immediately my producer hat came on, and I'm like, why is Jesus's voice not loud enough, or Judas or whoever? And it seemed subdued. So I wasn't enjoying the moment because I was critically analyzing the sonic, ambience instead. Does that happen to you as well?
Without a doubt, yeah. Recently, I've been trying to pick music to listen to that I can just simply enjoy. It is hard, though, especially because I have a hard time turning off that part of my brain that's like, oh, that's cool that they did that. Oh, this is successful. Oh, what am I?
What makes it successful?
Yeah, exactly.
How can I use that thing?
Exactly. I think that one thing I've tuned into very recently, and I'm a sucker for Disney music, especially like the Pixar scores, and just trying to tune into how things make me feel. Like lately I've been really into the Incredibles soundtrack, and this song here, like there's something about it that makes me feel a certain way. And so lately I've just been trying to like make my catalog of things that I listen to, stuff that just makes me feel a certain way, and not try to go too far in depth with it, because there's a time and place for that. But I feel like, and I'm sure you're the same way, where you can listen to music with so many different intentions that you forget that you're just listening to music.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's nice to just let it happen.
Just let your spirit just enjoy and ride the wave.
Sure, yeah.
Right? That's awesome. Well, you're releasing a whole bunch of music. You have released a whole bunch of music this year.
Oh, yes.
And it started in January, I believe.
Yeah.
And what's your latest release, and where can people listen to your music?
So I have a song coming out on Monday the 28th called The Dust. One of my favorite songs that I've composed, and you'll be able to hear that on Spotify, Apple Music. There's also going to be a video on YouTube, a lyric video. Yeah, so lots of, and then a couple more, maybe one more tune at the end of the year, but we'll.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on all your success that you've had this year.
Thank you so much for having me back.
It's my pleasure, and as you know, I mean, we're close friends and we're working together all the time, so it's always good to hang with you.
Thanks, man. Likewise.
This could be a 3-hour interview if I really wanted to, but
maybe in the comments if you want an extended version.
So you'll play a song for us afterwards?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thanks everybody for watching the Music City Surrey Showcase with Ben Dunnill. Please follow Ben on social media and listen to his amazing music, and stick around for an original song by Ben Dunnill. Thank you so much.
And in the aftermath, we'd said a few things we couldn't take back. I was silent, holding my breath. You slammed the door behind the first time I'd seen the tears in your eyes and a quiet that I'd never felt. Now we drink and we smoke, we hold our own, but it's growing old. I don't wanna end up like this when the dust sets in. Morning, you're back in bed. I must have been out by the time you got back, and we don't say a thing about it again. We could break down and cry, make up and lie. I'd rather be lost than get stuck trying to find the words. It all sound rehearsed. Now we drink and we smoke, we keep it close, but it's time we spoke. I don't wanna end up like this when the dust sets in and we're all alone. Don't wanna breathe it in when the dust sets in. Do you think it's enough, the pain in our lungs, this breathing in dust can't be good for us? And in the aftermath, we'd said a few things we couldn't take back. I was silent, I was silent. Now we drink and we smoke, we hold our own, but it's growing old. I don't wanna end up like this. Well, there's still time to fix it. when the dust sets in.